You're under oath. Those words carry a heavier weight when directed at someone who once pled the fifth in the Trump documents case and now sits at the helm of the FBI. What follows is Senator Cory Booker's tense exchange with Kash Patel, a confrontation that lays bare the questions no American should ever have to ask their top law enforcement officer, questions about loyalty, power, and the rule of law. As Booker presses Patel on firings, immunity, and allegiance, the moment turns into more than testimony. It becomes a test of whether justice still stands independent from politics.
Mr. Patel, if I can jump right in, 12 prosecutors, career prosecutors, were involved in an investigation in prosecuting the cases against President Trump and were recently fired. Some of those that were involved in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Do you know who Brett Reynolds is?
Maybe, but it doesn't ring a bell at this point.
So you're under oath. You have no recollection of who Brett Reynolds is?
If you could provide me with a little more context, I could possibly remember.
Are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with Trump investigations?
Senator, just to be clear, I did not participate in any of those DOJ
Sir,
decisions.
that's a yes or no question. Are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with Trump investigations?
I'm not aware of that,
Thank you.
Senator.
There is no evidence of wrongdoing by FBI employees involved in these investigations. If you do pursue investigations of those involved, will you commit to using standard processes, including a standard review by the FBI Inspections Division and the Inspector General?
Senator, I will honor all those review processes.
You will honor those review processes?
Yes, Senator.
If these are actions that the FBI employees, if there are actions against FBI employees that do not follow those standards process that happen before you get in, will you commit to reversing any decision prior to your arrival so that those standard processes and the standard review by the FBI Inspections Division will take place?
I don't know what's going on right now over there, but I'm committed to you, Senator, and your colleagues that I will honor the internal review process of the FBI.
Have you made any commitments to anyone about pursuing any investigations or targets if you are FBI director?
Only violent criminals and terrorists.
Have you had any conversations with anyone on the transition team about pursuing any investigations or targets?
Only following the Constitution.
Again, are you certain?
That I have told people on the
Are you
administration.
certain? Have you had any conversations with anyone on the transition team about pursuing any investigations or targets?
Senator, to the best of my recollection, I've only said I will use the Constitution.
Have you discussed specific investigations or targets you would pursue as FBI director with the President of the United States?
Senator, to the best of my recollection, no.
Are you certain?
To the best of my recollection, no.
According to public reports, you were subpoenaed by the federal prosecutors to testify as a witness before the grand jury investigation investigating the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. And you testified before the grand jury, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you were before the grand jury, you pled the fifth on the basis of self-incrimination, correct?
I utilized my constitutional rights during that process with the advice and consent of counsel and appeared before that grand jury.
I will take that as a yes. And you are familiar, I imagine, with Section 6002 of Title 18.
Off the top of my head, Senator, not.
Well, Section 6002 is the immunity statute. Whenever a witness refuses to testify or provide other information before a grand jury based upon the privilege against self-incrimination, the court can order the witness to testify. The witness must comply with the order, but they receive immunity, which means that no testimony or any other information provided before the grand jury can be used against them in any criminal proceeding. You were compelled to testify as a witness in the Mar-a-Lago classified document case. Did you participate in any criminal conduct involved in that case?
Involved in which, the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case?
Yes.
No, I testified through compulsion by court order.
You received immunity for providing information that was self-incriminating. Do you remember the name of the prosecutor who questioned you?
There were multiple, Senator. I do not.
Was it one of the people, were any of them people that were fired this past week?
I have no idea, Senator.
Are you certain? You're under oath.
I'm aware that I'm under oath, Senator, and I have no idea, and I did not participate in the removal of any DOJ prosecutor.
What was the information you provided that you received immunity for?
Senator, I would love my grand jury testimony to be released, but as you know, that grand jury testimony has been sealed by the Department of Justice, and I'm not allowed to discuss it here.
Well, I find it troubling that you do not know the law here, and let me tell you what the law is. Rule 6 governs grand jury proceedings. Under Rule 6E, grand jurors, court reporters, and prosecutors are bound to secrecy. But witnesses are not bound by secrecy. You were a witness in the classified documents case. You are not bound by secrecy. You can tell us everything that happened in that room and everything you testified about. I'll ask you again, what information did you provide to the grand jury?
In this, we are in agreement, Senator. Get my grand jury testimony. I want it made public. I asked the Department of Justice to make it public, and they refused to do so.
There is no legal bound against you telling us right now what you testified to.
When I asked for my transcript to be released,
Sir, did you or did you not commit a crime?
Senator, I did not commit a crime.
Then why won't you tell us what you testified to?
Because it occurred over the course of 3 weeks. I don't have the ability to recall everything I testified to, but I'm asking you to put my transcript down. Did you testify to
witnessing the President of the United States declassifying documents?
Senator, what I testified to is best captured by that transcript in real time. So
you're not willing to tell Congress, after making many pledges today about transparency, whether or not you testified to witnessing the President of the United States declassify documents. In the name of all the values you have said today, did you or did you not testify to witnessing the President of the United States declassify documents?
I testified accordingly and under oath, and I encourage you to get that transcript.
And by the law of our land, you are free to tell people, what are you hiding from Congress? Answer the question. Did you testify to witnessing the President of the United States declassifying documents, yes or no?
Senator, the grand jury testimony is available to you. I encourage you to make it public.
As you likely know, the second volume of Jack Smith's report about the classified document case is not public yet. To fulfill our constitutional duty of advice and consent, the President, on nominations, members of this committee have asked the DOJ to review the report. Do you agree that Congress should thoroughly review its nominees? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, last question and I'll be done. When you and I met, you told me that you wanted to remove 11,000 FBI personnel or move many of them, and you said that again today. You have looked at an org chart to understand what offices and functions that you'll be pulling from. I don't think you've done a serious analysis, but I do think you have an assignment from Donald Trump to gut the FBI. You said yourself, I'll shut down the FBI Hoover building. There are people specifically that you are targeting, I believe, and do you agree that you have already prepared plans to remove certain individuals from their offices? For example, individuals that will be replaced by political personnel.
You're under oath. Those words are supposed to pierce through politics, to pull truth out of power. But in this hearing, they landed like a challenge that Kash Patel wasn't ready to meet. A test of honesty, accountability, and integrity, and Patel failed it in the only way that truly matters to the country. By refusing to give straight answers about his role, his contacts, and whether political loyalty ever outweighed the law. What Senator Cory Booker did that day was more than questioning. It was a slow, deliberate dismantling of evasions, a cross-examination that exposed the difference between having authority and deserving it. Booker's line of inquiry did three things at once. First, it forced Patel to account for simple facts. Did he testify before the grand jury in the Trump documents case? What did he say? These are questions with straightforward answers, yet Patel twisted around them like they were traps. Second, it peeled back a layer of legal misunderstanding that many Americans don't see. When someone testifies before a grand jury, secrecy rules apply, but only to jurors, prosecutors, and court staff, not to the witness. A witness is free to talk about what they said. So when Patel repeatedly claimed that he couldn't speak because of confidentiality, he wasn't bound, he was dodging. That's not just misleading, it's manipulative. And third, most importantly, Booker turned those facts into a moral test. Should someone who once used the law's protections for himself now be in charge of enforcing it for the rest of us? That question cuts deep into the heart of justice. To understand why it matters, we have to break it down. When someone pleads the Fifth Amendment, refusing to answer questions to avoid self-incrimination, prosecutors can take another step. They can seek a court order under Section 6002 of Title 18 of the United States Code to compel testimony, granting use immunity. That means the witness must answer, but the government cannot use those answers or evidence derived from them against the witness later in a criminal case. It's a legitimate legal tool, a way for investigators to get crucial information without trampling constitutional rights. But optics matter. When a witness must be forced to testify under immunity, it signals that prosecutors believe that person had valuable information, perhaps even first-hand knowledge of wrongdoing. That's exactly what happened with Patel. He testified under such compulsion in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents investigation. Booker knows the law inside out, and his questions aim directly at that uncomfortable truth. Did Patel incriminate himself? What exactly did he tell the grand jury? Instead of transparency, Patel deflected. He told Booker to check the transcript and repeated that he testified under immunity. That's not an answer. That's a smokescreen. And when the head of the FBI refuses to clarify his past dealings in a criminal probe involving the very man who appointed him, it becomes more than evasive. It becomes dangerous. Transparency is not a courtesy. It's a requirement for anyone entrusted with federal power. When the public cannot trust that the nation's top investigator has disclosed his own potential conflicts, two shadows emerge, one over the integrity of the office and another over the public's faith in it. Booker then turned to something that strikes at the core of institutional independence: personnel decisions. According to testimony, several prosecutors and agents involved in Trump-related cases were reassigned, replaced, or removed under questionable circumstances. Booker asked Patel whether he knew of, discussed, or approved such moves. Patel's answer: more hedging, more wordplay. This isn't bureaucratic nitpicking. It's about whether political power is being used to punish professional integrity. If FBI or DOJ personnel fear that investigating the wrong person could cost them their job, justice doesn't just slow down, it collapses. Every agent, every prosecutor begins to look over their shoulder. Leads go cold. Evidence sits untouched. The rule of law becomes a matter of permission, not principle. An FBI that purges those who investigate political figures isn't an independent agency. It's a weapon. Booker pressed further. Had Patel ever discussed active investigations or targets with Trump's transition team or campaign associates? Patel didn't deny it outright. That omission speaks volumes. The reason this matters is simple but profound. America's justice system rests on a line that must never be crossed: the line between political direction and criminal investigation. When political campaigns or presidents influence who gets investigated or spared, that line dissolves. Law becomes a tool for power instead of a check on it. Beyond legalities, there's the question of perception, because in public trust, perception is reality. Booker reminded everyone that Patel had long trafficked in partisan rhetoric. He had pushed enemy lists, amplified conspiracy theories, and painted critics as traitors. Those aren't the actions of a neutral law enforcement professional. Even if Patel swears impartiality today, his record speaks otherwise. And in an institution like the FBI, where cooperation from agents, agencies, and citizens is essential, the appearance of bias is enough to poison the well. If people believe the Bureau enforces politics instead of justice, they stop cooperating. Tips dry up, partnerships crumble, national security weakens. This isn't just about one man. It's about three long-term risks that could reshape how American justice functions. When law enforcement becomes partisan, some crimes get prosecuted aggressively while others get buried. Justice stops being equal and starts being strategic. Agents who see political interference begin self-censoring. They avoid certain cases or targets to stay safe. That silence costs truth. The FBI doesn't operate in isolation. It relies on cooperation from citizens, foreign allies, and local law enforcement. Once the public believes the Bureau serves politics instead of principle, that cooperation vanishes. So what now? What should Congress and the public demand from those in power? Transcripts and testimony should be released whenever the law permits. When they can't, officials should clearly explain why, not hide behind vague excuses. Investigations into firings, reassignment, or political interference should never be handled by political appointees. They belong with the Inspector General or independent prosecutors. Congress can pass statutes shielding career law enforcement and DOJ personnel from politically motivated removals. Safeguarding independence isn't partisan, it's patriotic. This part belongs to us. Citizens have to care enough to demand truth. Contact your senators. Ask questions. Refuse to let evasions become the norm. Democracy isn't self-cleaning. Booker's questioning wasn't about theatrics. It was about accountability. It asked whether America still expects its law enforcers to serve justice, not individuals. And Patel's evasions, the non-answers, the half-truths, were answers in themselves. They revealed a dangerous comfort with opacity, a willingness to let political loyalty blur the edges of the law. That's the real test here. Not a Senate hearing, but a civic one. Whether Americans still believe that truth and accountability are worth defending, even when they're inconvenient. Whether the rule of law still stands taller than any one man. You're under oath. Those three words should never lose their meaning. They're not just a procedural formality. They are a promise that in a nation built on laws, truth still matters. If that promise is to survive, we can't let this moment pass as just another headline. Share it, talk about it, call your representatives, demand transparency, demand oversight, because justice, once bent, rarely straightens itself. Booker's questions drew the line, Patel's silence crossed it, and the rest of us, citizens, voters, believers in fairness, now have to decide whether we'll look away or stand up for the truth that oath was supposed to protect.